You're live. You might be live. I found a new pine cone that can be a Christmas tree. Yay. Somebody else can paint this and put little ornaments on it. I had to switch I took off the tie and I switched the hat for, I don't know if I should have gone with the red one. Maybe it goes better with the sweater. Oh well. Instead of trying to match with the shirt and not making. A little busy. Of course, I also have, more duffer hats that might go with some of these coat selections a little more. This one, a little bit the Sean Connery style in Last Crusade. I went back and I didn't watch all of them, but I watched a couple of my old videos and I realized again for the third time that some of my pictures are kind of small in the original videos and some of my product placement or showing tell look, I didn't do a very good job necessarily of showing the garments in detail. So even though it seems like I'm doing like a ton of videos in a row of all about jackets, better just get them out of the way. And not too many people watched those original videos anyway. If the thing only had like 10 or 16 views, then the three of you who are going to find some of this redundant, like you get over it. If you watched it, it was 2 years ago already anyway or something. So in one of the videos, the Shirt-Jac videos, in the old one, I had already showed this shirt, but I hadn't shown the texture and the detail. So we're not really going to talk about Shirt-Jacs here. But when I had showed the newer one, I referenced this one, but I showed the one with the black watch instead of this houndstooth. But again, still a polyester fleece item, not a wool coat, and a Shirt-Jac technically. And this, of course, being another version of a Shirt-Jac, also in a size too small, but in a Stuart tartan. So this would be a proper match with this hat if I went that way. Yay. So that's something you can do to be, festive, is when these things are available. These are not, well, and what, oh, another one with the flannel, but with the Primaloft inside of it. So technically more of a jacket than a shirt, but of course with a shirt exterior, but not the wool one like I showed in the previous one. As I put in the description, I probably should have saved the duffel coat for this video, but since I just featured the duffel coat in the video technically last week now, I'm not going to go into the details of the duffel coat again. And it was also mentioned in the Dead Poets Society video. Another Shirt-Jac. I had showed this in green in one of the early videos, and then I wanted to get a blue one. Well, they didn't have a blue one, so I ended up with a slate gray one. But this time in an extra large that should get some use this winter finally. And here they put the buffalo check flannel interior instead of the other Teflon fabric protector, so it has a spray coating. And this one was scheduled at $90 when I think I got it as a sale price, but people won't even pay me $20 for the one with the flannel lining and the insulating, which is not even flannel, it's real insulation. So no, I'm not putting it back on eBay for that low of a price again. Yeah, that was probably like 5 years ago, and it's still here. And it's two sizes too small or a size too small or something, but I'll make it work, believe me, before I'll sell it for less than close to $90, because this is not the same insulation. This is not the same warmth of a thing. Still a Shirt-Jac though. The one has hand pockets and the newer one doesn't, I think, is the big other difference. Big pocket flaps and all that. The ones I dug out, the wool content of these may vary. I got these around the same time and haven't had a chance to use them, so I don't know if they're really that much warmer than the other Shirt-Jacs. This one was, maybe I'll skip them. This one was an LL Bean. This one in a large, so it might still fit me. Yeah, the shell, 99% acrylic, 25. No, I'm reading that wrong. 55% acrylic, 25% polyester, and 20% recycled wool. So they were selling this as a wool jacket, and then the lining 100% polyester, which is, I think, a satin. So this was not very much wool content that I might appreciate, but it is closer to a hunting coat in the traditional sense, meant to look like a Filson maybe, or some of the other similar brands, but it is a bit lighter weight. I'll get to the Woolrich one in a minute. I've talked about it in like 5 videos or whatever and never showed it up close. But similar, we have a zipper stash pocket here with some snap pockets here, and then big buttons. Again, the big buttons, not like the Rourke with the 5 different types of closures. But we do have a storm flap with a zipper. So again, is it a field coat? Yeah, sure, a jacket, whatever you want to call it. Heavy enough, I think we can call it a coat, even if it's mostly polyester. And does have proper quilted insulation, though, not just wool, which, again, I would argue might be warmer. But again, something you might want to layer. My sweater sticking out there. So we're getting a decent length to the thigh above the belt. Yes, I'm wearing pajama bottoms. I'm not even trying to hide it that much. I just don't want it to contrast too much. I had more. There's it's still gathered here at the back where the 2 vents should be. I haven't had a chance to wear this yet, like I said. Last year, I came close. But a decent fit, but again, not layering a ton under here because this is a large and an extra large. So whether or not they offer this again this year, I don't know. Because again, when I bought this, this would have been less snug a bit. How much I can put under this now, I don't know. How warm it will be, I don't know. We have another hidden pocket here. I did put those trousers in the wash, but I'm not doing the laundry yet. But I'm not. So what was this? $289 at the time, and I don't remember if I paid full price or not. Tech wool insulated. Let's see. A true innovation. This wool blend jacket already resists wet weather for total protection. Thin and light, thin slit insulation, keeps you warm and comfortable. Thoughtfully designed with plenty of pockets for stashing gloves, headphones, anything. Okay. The outside is inside everything. The outside is inside everything we make. Okay. So they were already doing this. We're the outdoor company a couple years ago. Okay, they put the same tag on here twice, so that was just an accident, I guess. So that's all that was me reading one of 2. Exclusive of trim, made in Vietnam, care on reverse. And then down here we have 3M thin slit. And yeah, cotton, contain, sorry, acrylic, viscose, polyester, whatever. no viscose. Wool recycled, blah blah blah. So that's like I said, not quite a car coat, probably a little too long to be a car coat. Like I said, kind of a field / hunting coat again. Just a warmer one. Like I said, I wasn't expecting the canvas one to be this warm, but I did expect it to be a little bit more robust or rugged or whatever. Because speaking along those lines, like LL Bean had lighter weight canvas stuff. This was called a barn coat, I think, or a light field coat or something. It had flat pockets instead of the usual doubled up shell cargo pockets or whatever, and it had a light flannel material or something in there with the similar but smaller buttons, still with the corduroy collar and the corduroy trim. But they had discontinued this, so I ended up with it in a medium. I don't know if it still fits. So I'll talk about this jacket again come springtime, or coat, if we can call this a coat. It's maybe long enough. I don't know that it's as long as the other field coat, so maybe it's a jacket. Anyway, similar to that LL Bean one, though I think this one has a better wool content, or I could be remembering wrong. Let me find the tag first. Something. %60 wool, 25% polyester, 15% rayon, but then the lining is 100% polyester. Yes, so more true wool in the Eddie Bauer version, which again, slightly different, but not by much. We don't have a zipper hidden pocket here. We don't have a pocket flap here. Live your adventure. Eddie's products are grounded in outdoor adventure and the innovation that has come with outfitting those experiences for nearly 100 years. So maybe they're not quite yeah, they started around the same time, but LL Bean started with the boots, right? Guaranteed for life. We'll see. Bowman Creek Forester warmth quality style, temp rating low activity, 45 degrees Fahrenheit, moderate activity, -5 degrees, zip front with button storm flap. Again, your results may vary. You might wear this in 5-degree temperature and freeze to death if you don't layer or whatever. Okay, I read that already. Established 1920, so just over 100 years. So I bought this a couple years ago. And again, live in California where I don't always get around to wearing all these things. But since I had talked about, I looked in the capsule wardrobe one video, and I guess I had kind of skirted over the whole outer coat thing a lot. But in the nautical winter video, I had talked about pea coats, which this is meant to be a similar fabric to what one might find in a pea coat, but probably a little bit lighter weight. But again, we have a true collar. I didn't go into the collar on the bean one. We have a locker loop. Same with the bean one. I think we don't have any like gusseted vice wing back or anything. This one, we don't have any vents around the bottom. The bean one had the vents, but I hadn't undone the string yet. I'm pretty sure this will be the exact same length. That was bound to happen sooner or later. So, yeah, same thing. The exact same size. The sleeves maybe even a little tighter. So I can still wear this if I'm not layering up too badly. The cargo pocket's not a ton of cargo room. They don't bellows out much. I didn't really look at that on the other one. but it's a patch pocket and overlay. So yeah, expect about the same, except they both have hand warmer pockets underneath the cargo pocket. So you lose your cargo space to gain hand space. Similar plastic buttons. I might, the bean buttons maybe have almost want to have a rubbery feel. I don't know if I prefer the bean buttons or not. This one, of course, having true polyester, but not the quilted insulated lining. This one just a polyester film. We do have the same zip pocket here. So whether or not Bauer has offered this jacket again this year or modified the design any, I couldn't tell you. But same kind of button cuffs. But not too snug of a fit. But again, a little bit, both of them running a little bit smaller than what L.O. Bean used to call a large, because I showed that wool Shirt-Jac in the last video, and you can see how much bigger it was than either of these. Easier to layer under and had insulation. This one having no insulation and probably being wool probably cost more, or around the same as the Bean one. For maybe less warm. Again, I don't know. Time will tell, because I don't know what kind of winter we'll have yet. So moving logically along. Well, actually doing slightly out of order. If I go that one. Well, so we'll go straight to this one then. The Woolrich hunting jacket with the giant game bag in the back that the other ones don't have. Still no bi-swing shoulders or anything, just a standard shoulder. This one was a medium though, and I got it on clearance. Now it does have these big buttons under this flap, no zipper. So the buttons are under the storm flap instead of storm flapping the zipper. And we have these supposed to be, you know, easier to undo big buttons or whatever if you're wearing gloves or mittens, but I'm pretty sure you would have to remove your gloves or mittens to operate these buttons, especially under this flap. We have a locker loop that's a bit of rope instead. Woolrich totally discontinued all this kind of stuff, and then the stuff they did bring back, they messed up the sizing. I've already made 3 videos about this. The Oxbow flannel video. This garment features internal security pocket, washable wool, which is a difference. Wind cuffs. Yes, I talked about that in the previous video. Oh, this is tiny. Since 18, I don't know, 30, 60, 80, who knows. Woolrich, the original outdoor clothing company located in Pennsylvania, has created comfortable, functional products inspired by the outdoors. The longevity of our brand is close to the quality we stand for, something like that. Due to the quality, that's what, okay. By combining our heritage of craftsmanship with new technologies, I assume, we continue the tradition of offering products that look great, feel terrific, and last for years. Well, they last longer if you never ever wear them because you live in California. But this one has a canvas kind of lining, I think. I don't know what you'd call it. I assume it's cotton. I could be wrong. No color. Size medium. 100% wool. No, 99% wool or something. I don't know. I guess that's 80% wool and 20% Nylon con or something. I can't even read that. Lining 100% cotton, made in Thailand. That's slightly different. So here's your internal pocket anyway. So unlike a Filson one, this is, you know, cotton lined but not insulated. And not quite as long as, again, a duffel coat, but long enough. We need these cargo pockets. This time we don't have any hand warmer pockets, so the cargo pockets are a little bit bigger, but not much. But then we have snaps, and again, the buttons are, this being a medium though, what they used to call a medium, which I guess if I wanted to layer a lot more, I would need a large. But you can see how a medium that they were making, 12 years ago or whatever still fits me. Whereas a medium shirt now, no chance. And an extra large shirt now fits more like what this, smaller than this medium. So yeah, no hand pocket that's the one drawback. But, and this big collar that people complain about, but it does have some kind of this loop thing that you're supposed to be able to cinch this together with the button there. And no zipper, like I said. And again, guys will say, oh, I wore this out in the freezing cold with only a t-shirt underneath and I was cold. Well, of course you were. It's not going to do everything on its own. And then this is the rib cuff under the main bulky thing. So it's kind of a, I don't know, do you put your glove over the rib cuff, which doesn't work with my gloves? This is supposed to windproof and all that, but then my glove still needs to go under this, yada, yada, yada. If I could get it in a larger size now, if I could go back in time and order the large instead of the medium, I probably would, but it was on clearance. But as you can see, it still fits, that I can wear it just to wear it. But it is bulky. It is, wool. It does have this awkward thing going on instead of a more refined car coat sleeve like the other two. It does, if you think this looks dorky, then that, again, if you don't live in where you want this almost ear protection, then of course you'll think it looks dumb. But if you have a lot of wind or something, that will actually be nice. No drawstrings. Again, I didn't think either of the other ones would either, so I didn't even look. So that's basically 3 hunting coats in a row, except this one being the only one that's mostly wool or more wool. I think that's 80% wool then. I don't know. Whatever that tag said. Nylon. I think it just says nylon. Oh, okay. So 80% wool, 20% nylon. So that's that new technology to repel your water a bit. So what I was saying in the other video about, if you're in like rain and then it freezes, will you be still more insulated in this than a leather jacket? Maybe not, but maybe you won't freeze either. So the Pea Coat, now I have 2 here. There's more versions that you can typically find. These are also a little bit older and might not be available. This one was from Sportsman's Guide and it's a medium. But the thing with the Pea Coat is you have the double-breasted bit and you have the hand pockets and you don't have really any cargo pockets. You have that extra row of buttons that's just for show. Some of them are insulated and some of them are not. This one is, although how good of an insulation it is, I don't know. This wool is lighter weight than I think the regulation issue ones. I don't think I have any tags here. Oh, wait. Again, another thing I can't hardly read. Machine wash cold. Okay. So this might not be wool at all. Let's see if I can read this. Shell polyester lining with something coating. Yeah, I can barely read that. There's a lot of glare from these newer bulbs because my eyesight is not this bad. But once I try to read, made in China, once I try to read on camera, I can't see anything with this light. So yeah, I don't know if this is wool or not. But for those of you who don't know what a pea coat looks like, so again, we have a big collar with a lapel kind of deal. This one doesn't have any snaps or closures or anything. It's just floppy. This was like a $50 version of it thing or whatever it cost me. And it's a size too small, of course, because can I button a medium still? Maybe. I could wear it in emergency, but it won't look terribly perfect. Again, not going to be able to layer too much under this, but I can still put it on. So again, not to mid-thigh, just a little past the belt. The belt being what about here? You got about 4 or 5 inches. One little back vent because this is cheap, not a double side vent. But that's pretty standard non-military issue. In a nice charcoal gray that I can't really fit. Versus the military one, this is a 60s issue, so it doesn't have insulation. I don't know what size this is. But this one I got used, not one of the newer ones. So the guy told me it was 60s, and I'm pretty sure it belonged to his buddy or whatever. So he probably knew exactly where it came from, but it is a true navy, not black. Although it might look black. But it's not going to be super warm as much as people hype because, we're having an acetate, not an insulation. But this time we do have a double. The other one probably had this button and I just ignored it. But you're supposed to button it here first and then button the outside. But as you can see, this is more of a size large that I can get into it a bit easier. And that's no bi-swing sleeves again either. One side vent, no, or one back vent, no side vents. No decorative things going on here though. Some of the foreign ones will have that. Some of the reissue ones will have buttons here, but I don't think they'll function in any capacity. And you do have the top button hitting here that you can do it up like there. I'm not going to, button everything. You get the idea. Like I said, most people have already done pea coats, car coats, and duffel coats videos anyway. Trench coats, overcoats, top coats. I did bring in one that I guess could be considered an overcoat or a top coat because this, you can theoretically, you're supposed to be able to wear this over a suit, but how much you really can, I don't know. So similar, not Sportsman's Guide, but it looks like the Sportsman's Guide one, but this one was actually J.C. Penney, J. Farrar, whoever that is. But they made it a double-breasted, so unlike the car coat that I showed in the previous video that just had the zip and was not a wool or an imitation wool or anything. What is this one? Medium, made in China. Okay. That doesn't tell me the actual fabric. But it does have epaulettes for fancy, and it does have the high hunting coat pockets in addition to the cargo pocket. So the hand warmer pockets are kind of up in this awkward chest position, which maybe makes sense if you're in the automobile and trying to get something out of your pocket. I don't know how that's supposed to exactly work. Can I read this tag better? Shell, 66% wool, 33% polyester, 2% other fibers, lining 100% polyester filling. But this one is quilted, so it is real wool and warmer than probably the Sportsman's Guide Pea Coat. It gave me an extra little button here for the emergencies or whatever, and little hidden pocket there, or locker loop. The issue with these were the sleeves, because I ended up buying 3 different sizes and returning the extra large and the large. And of course, now I wish I had probably kept the large. I don't know that the extra large would have ever fit me any better than the large, because the way the body was shaped and the sleeves attached, I just could not move my arms at all in the extra large. Usually I complain about the smaller armholes, but, or, you know, in shirts and things, but in this case, like, just the shape of the jacket, the extra large was just never going to work. A little bit of a sleeve cuff. It's decoration. There's no second button to actually adjust this. But this one, knocking everything over. A little bit roomier. See, like I said, if I'd kept the large, I might have been able to still button this. It's not that far off. This being a medium, I could button it, but it might pull the button off. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I can just get these buttons moved. I think if I move these buttons, because these are decorative and these are the real ones. So I think if I just move the real ones over, what, 3 inches, I can button this coat just fine. Whereas, like I said, if I had gotten the extra large, the way the sleeves are, now again, I can't layer anything under this. It's skin tight, worse than the other ones, even worse than that duffel coat, because it is a size too small. But but it is insulated, so if I'm not trying to layer over anything too bulky, like I said, if I move these 2 buttons, I think I can, or just add buttons, remove these buttons and move them over at whatever, and then it'll be double-breasted without even moving these, without needing these, because look how far these are over to the pocket anyway. I don't know. Figure something out. But overall, like I said, another one with a back vent. This one not opened up. I'm sure I wore this jacket and probably just forgot to do that. Or maybe it was the pea coat that I wore. I know I wore one of them more than the other one before I outgrew them. But again, this is not the kind of thing that I always wanted to wear to a night spot or outdoors joint, because I didn't want them to stink, and I didn't want them to get liquids and stuff slopped on them, and, you know, all that kind of thing. I wanted to keep them more nice. So if I was going to a place that thought it was somewhat upscale, but really was kind of casual and more bummy than anyone wants to admit, definitely going with the fake leather. The top coat, on the other hand, again, another thing that's meant to be worn over a suit, but then they don't size them correctly, that you'd have to get the sleeves modified and everything else if you buy them big enough to fit over the suit in most of the places I found. But I don't. Have this one in a larger size. I bought this one a few years ago, and it's not big enough to do all that with, and it's a size or 2 too small for me now anyway. But I can still wear it if, again, similar to those night spots I was just talking about, if I know I'm going to be indoors and I'm not going to need a jacket underneath, I think this kind of thing will work pretty well. with a vest that has its own backing. So you're indoors, you're wearing your vest without the coat once you show up, and maybe in kind of complementary colors. This other one, another one that doesn't have the satin back, but it has a, this one's a little more satin than some of the corduroy ones, but it's not shiny satin. Something like that would work, although this pattern's a little busy. But that's just a suggestion, not the exact vest I would necessarily wear with this. But just fell on the floor. But this, similar to the duffel coat or the trench coat now, much longer and more similar to a 3-button sport jacket or suit jacket. This one does have a big back single vent again. No bi-swing back, a standard shoulder. It does have a chain. This company is no longer in business, by the way, but you can find similar things. This one has the satin lining. It doesn't have any quilting because this isn't meant to be a super warm overcoat like the duffel coat. Here we have these, fake cuff buttons. Cutting buttons. Okay. Cuff buttons, but not adjustable. But the sleeves and the overall fit, not terrible. And not double-breasted, so I don't have any issue with all that trying to figure it out. And I do have a little bit more room in the sleeves, although again, a 48 or a 50 would be a better size for me if I was trying to put this over another complete jacket. But again, I could wear this without a complete jacket, just as a layer, but not a super warm layer. But now here you can see it's coming way farther down past the belt by a good 10 inches almost. And so that is a proper length for an overcoat. It basically hangs down to my knees, not quite past my knees. And of course, I can't really show that on camera. I can't get that far back. Pretty far back. So overall, a decent fit. But again, for layering, a little bit small or snug in the arms, and not the ultimate winter item, unfortunately. It's not the thickest, heaviest Harris tweed. I don't even know if Harris makes all the thickest, heaviest tweeds. But again, if I paired it with something like this, if I could show less of the satin and more of the design. Not an exact match, but you could get away with it. Again, if getting away with things is your idea of menswear expression, then that's as far as you're going to go anyway. And I don't remember what I paid for this, but some of them were on clearance for $200 or something around that range. I think they were like $350 new. So again, not the ultimate tweed, not the ultimate warm layer, but a nice looking pattern, and probably constructed in China, although I don't know if it says anywhere. Doesn't say anything there. It just says formal wear. And I was going to title this video formal or semi-formal or something along that line. Yeah, it doesn't really say. That's just a seam, not a pocket. Oh, here we go. What do we have here? Dry clean only, 100% wool, lining 100% polyester. So a little bit disappointing with the lining, with the wool, but just cut corners and get it out the door for, a reasonable price. Polyester is what you get, and you're wearing it theoretically again on top of other garments where you don't need it to breathe as much, I guess. And you can always replace the lining if you really, really had to. So if you can find something like that used, then you get it for less than I paid, I guess. And see how it goes. Okay, so as always, I believe that's everything for this video that I didn't get to cover in detail in the previous ones. Because like I said, I got to show stuff a little bit closer up. If you don't know what a tweed herringbone window pane weave might look like, there you go in fine detail. I didn't really show the pea coats that close because they're woolen wool, not tartan wool or whatever, so it doesn't really. You can see the hairs on there and stuff. They do pick up lint and things. This one needs a quick brushing or a bit of Scotch tape maybe. But yeah, sometimes you can find your size used, but a lot of those old surplus stores don't exist anymore, and a lot of what they have at Sportsman's Guide is small and medium, not typically the larger sizes. So I kind of lucked out with this one, but again, it's not quilted, it's not as warm, but at least it still fits. So yeah, I don't have too many great extreme winter jackets, but I do have enough things that I could piece together enough layers that, I can typically survive California in winter. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. The heater's running, so I'm starting to sweat more visibly now, which I was not really expecting because it's not that cold right now. But so that should wrap up my jacket videos for a while, but I will do follow-ups on a couple of those other ones, etc., etc. So yeah, any questions I'll try to helpfully answer with not too much mayhem.